Welcome, and on today's show,
I get to compare a couple of PRXs.
But first, yes, today's shot comes from
pianist.on.time.
This is an amazing combination with retro beauty and instrumental elegance. Sat on the old ivories is a Casio CA53W. It's such a well-framed shot and I just had to show it off to you guys. If you'd like to be on the next Casio corner, all you gotta do, find me on Instagram here and tag me in on one of your Casio posts. Who knows? Next time, the star of the show could be you. Yes, I think this is our first Tissot on the channel. And I am wearing the Built Like a Brick house, the Seiko Arnie reissue, SNJ025. I was in a tough mood today. No one's gonna get in my way when I flash this thing around. What a beautiful beating, diving stunner. If you like the content and want to support the channel, in the description below you'll see a link to buy me a coffee. Lord knows I need a lot of caffeine when I do these things, and if you'd like to fill me up on caffeine or keep the sweet straw nice and stocked, I'd appreciate the support. So, Tissot, how long have they been around? Oh yeah, since 1853. A very well-respected brand that have been building watches for a long time. Arguably one of the best affordable Swiss watch brands out there. You do get a lot of bang for your buck. Now at the start of 2021, Tissot brought out the PRX. The P&R stands for Precision and Resistance.
The X is the Roman numeral of 10.
And that represents 10 atmos.
Or 100 meters of water resistance.
Super! Anyway, the watch community went crazy for this very heavily 70s design. The watch is based on an old Tissot Sea Star that was released in 1978, but it's also heavily inspired by those luxury sports brands back in the late 70s, such as the Patek Philippe Nautilus and the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. It comes with an integrated bracelet
and sold in the shed loads.
Anyway, in July, Tissot brought out an automatic version, housed with the Powermatic 80. The automatic version only came out in this waffle dial, making it even more heavily influenced by the Royal Oak. What I wanted to do was get both of these watches in, a Quartz and the automatic version, see if there are any differences between the two, and then give you my opinion on which one you should buy. This show could not have been done without the help of Francis & Gay Jewelers. They very kindly lent these two watches in for me to review.
I've got to send them back.
Now F&G offer a wide range of different watches for us watch enthusiasts to buy. If you sign on to their newsletter, you get an automatic 10% off. Also, if you give Ryan a little email
and say you've come from the Mad Watch Collector channel,
you may get treated a little differently. Are you PRX ready? Let's go! Right, so here we have on the left the Powermatic 80 version and on the right the Quartz version. My first impressions are these are very beautiful watches. I can already see why people are touting these watches as the best releases of 2021. In terms of case finishing, both of these watches are exactly the same. We've got a lovely polished bezel and vertical brushing on the tops of those lugs. The looks of these watches are so out of the 70s.
I'm surprised they aren't wearing flares. Howdy.
Both have that Gerald Genta style look to them, don't they? But it's the automatic version that looks a little bit too homagey. The waffle dial looks so cool, but it's one of the main features of a Royal Oak. Whereas with the Quartz version here, it's a little bit more true to the Sea Star back in the 70s. Quick spec check! Okay, the diameter of both watches is 40 millimeters, which I was very surprised about. That waffle dial on the automatic makes that watch look a little bit smaller. Trick of the eyes. The lug to lug is only 44.6 millimeters. However, with this integrated bracelet, the end links either side do protrude from the case. It's more around the 50 millimeter mark than that 44. Now the Quartz version is only 10.5 millimeters thick, and you have to add on another millimeter for the automatic version. This is because the Powermatic version has a screw-in display case back. The Quartz doesn't have a display case back, nor does it screw in, and is just a pressed case back. which I was a little bit surprised about, being that it is 100 meters water resistant. The crowns on either watch are not screw-in either, just push and pull jobbies. Both of these watches are protected by a flat piece of sapphire glass, but it's the Powermatic 80 that has underside anti-reflective coating. But yeah, so far the biggest difference between these two watches are the case back. Oh no! Brutus, are you ready? Go! Oh. It's Brutus being silly again, dear. And welcome to another edition of the Design House, where on today's episode we take a look at not one but two casebacks of Tissot. First of all, the Quartz version. Oh, it's very bland, isn't it? Very simple, stainless steel obviously, a radial brushing, but nothing too fancy. We won't spend too long with this one. And on to the automatic caseback. Oh, a display caseback of a beauty. Look at that rotor, wow. I must remember that for my next one. Oh, I mean, it's so nice, isn't it? Oh, the mechanics look exquisite and it's an outright clear finish for me for the automatic. So there we are, two very similar watches from the front and extremely different watches from the back. Brutus, get down! I better start playing with his balls before he starts playing with mine. Bye! Gotta get that looked into. Sorry. We gotta talk about this bracelet because it is a thing of beauty.
Now, if you're gonna have an integrated bracelet, you gotta make damn sure it's a good one.
Fortunately, Tissot have hit a home run with this one. The brushing and the polishing and the articulation of this impresses me a lot. This bracelet alone really does make this watch feel and look more expensive than it is. Both watches have exactly the same bracelets and it's a very cool butterfly clasp. Very well done, very well machined. All the links are solid. It is push pins, but I can forgive it for that. You may not get a perfect fit as there are no micro adjusts on this. You do have half links near the clasp, so you may have to wear this watch a little loose. The bracelet is quick release, which is unusual seeing it's integrated, and Tissot aren't offering any other straps that this can go with at the minute. It's obviously future-proof in itself, and I imagine come next year there'll be a few straps to choose from, which is pretty cool. Okay, it's
dial time.
So let's start with the Quartz. It's a very subtle, deep sunburst blue. I really do love it. It doesn't really come to life inside. It's when you go outside, you get the full benefit of that sunburst, but you don't want the dial to be too glossy, as the case and the bracelet will do that bling bling for you. So we've got a minute track along the outside of the dial. Very simple stick batons for the hours. 2 batons for 12 o'clock, which is really good. We have Tissot and the year they were established just below the 12 o'clock. The logo PRX just below the hand stack, and at the 3 o'clock we can see a date window in white. It doesn't disrupt the balance of the watch, which I really like. There's no frame to it, which gives it even more of a subtle look. Overall, the dial is really nice. Now the automatic version is much more dynamic. This sunburst waffle dial is such a cool texture. It does have me gazing at it for quite some time.
Sometimes forgetting to even look at the time.
The formation of everything is still the same. Minute track, applied batons for the hours. However, this time at 3 o'clock, we have a silver frame date window, which makes it slightly bigger. Below the hand stack, not only do we have PRX, but they want to let you know it's a Powermatic 80. On both watches, we have stick hands with Lume on the hour and minute hands. It's a really fine needle hand for the seconds, but overall on both watches, very tastefully done.
Sorry to bother you. Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Okay, so Lume on the hands, Lume on the indices. Let's see how this puppy glows. Oh, Oh, so that is poor, isn't it? It's a sports watch. I'd expect it to have pretty decent lume. We know that that stick handset is very thin, but for the indices to be almost non-existent means the legibility isn't brilliant. Yes, if you want a watch with a very good lume,
step away from the PRX.
So powering the Quartz version is an ETA F06.115. It has a 5 to 8 years battery life, and there is an end of life indicator.
The seconds hand will jump 4 seconds
to let you know the battery needs changing. Inside the automatic, we have that Powermatic 80. It's a 3 Hz movement, so only 21,600 beats per hour, but it's going to give you that amazing 80-hour power reserve. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time with the automatic to send it over to the Time TARDIS. Sorry, Cedric, but this 25 joule Powermatic 80 has tolerances between plus 15 and minus 15 seconds a day. That's not bad going, is it? To operate these watches are very similar. The only difference with the automatic version is that you can wind the movement, pull the crown out once with the automatic, and you can set the date, pull it out to the last position, and you can set the time, and you have hacking. With the Quartz version, there is no winding. Turning it in its pushed in position, you can change the date, pull it out once, and you can change the time with hacking. What I would say is different though, the feeling of winding the hands on the automatic feels a bit more expensive to me than it does on the Quartz, but both easy to operate. Also, the crowns are possibly a little bit too small for my liking.
Hello.
On my 6.5-inch wrist, and these watches look very nice, don't they? A part of me just wishes that the diameter was not 40 and it was 38. I think it would fit a lot more wrists because the watch certainly looks a little bit bigger than that 40 diameter because of that integrated bracelet and the way this case is made. Reflecting those polished surfaces and those sunburst dials, they really are lovely watches to wear. Obviously, these are brand new and I can't resize them. From the case to those first couple of links, you can see a little gap. The watch doesn't sit perfectly flush to my wrist, but anyone with wrist sizes 7 inches and above, I think it'll lay pretty flat. There we are,
a PRX party where batteries and mechanics come together.
But which one do I prefer? Okay, I'm a big lover of brands looking back in their history and picking out little gems they used to make that can inspire a new release. The Quartz version does that job. A very plain but awesome sunburst dial, and it looks like a Tissot. The automatic, on the other hand, has that Audemars Piguet Royal Oak waffle dial, and the colour of it is pretty much the same. Is it too close to being a homage of the Royal Oak? For me, a little bit. You are getting a mechanical engine in this Powermatic 80. You are getting 80 hours of power reserve. You're getting a sweeping seconds hand. You're also getting a lovely display case back. I was a little disappointed with the press-on case back, I got to admit, especially for a watch that apparently has water resistance of 100 meters, but I love the plainness of that case back and I love the slightly thinner profile. It's the Quartz version for me. Now, to buy the Powermatic 80 brand new comes in at about £565. With the Quartz version, it's going to cost you £295. Now, bearing in mind that the case finishing is the same, the amazing articulated bracelet is the same, I think the Quartz offers a lot of bang for your buck. But what do you think? Are you mesmerised too much by that waffle dial? From me, the Mad Watch Collector, I'll see you in a tick, 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 a tick.
Second, every hour, every minute of the day. Always end up being